I'm sitting on a 24-acre ranch in Baja, California. Pacific Ocean on my doorstep, 60 miles south of San Diego. By most people's definition, this is the destination. I could stay here for the rest of my life, and honestly, it would be a beautiful one. I'm not done. What I experienced in Southeast Asia changed the equation for me. Not because I need to leave or because I was running from something, but because I walked into a market at a specific stage of development that I recognized. And when you've spent enough years paying attention to where things are moving, you learn to trust that recognition. So Vietnam right now is one of those moments. I want to be precise about what that means because this isn't a travel trend. It's not the digital nomad wave. It's a specific, measurable economic inflection point, the kind that shows up once in a generation in any given market. Foreign direct investments have been accelerating for years. Manufacturing and technology infrastructure expanding simultaneously. A young, educated workforce entering the consumer economy in real numbers. And a political environment that's stable enough that serious operators and investors are starting to treat it as a real base, not just as a stop on a longer trip. But here's what actually struck me. When I was on the ground in Da Nang, you walk into the professional networking scene and you see a real mix. Travel bloggers, backpackers, digital nomads passing through, and then scattered through that crowd, some genuinely serious players, founders, investors, operators, running real businesses with real capital behind them. The difference between these two groups is immediately obvious, and the serious ones are no longer showing up to those events because the room doesn't work for them. The transient crowd and the serious crowd don't mix, and the serious crowd has stopped trying. The gap is the entire story, and that gap is what I'm heading back to build for. Over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to give you the full picture, what the economic opportunity actually looks like, what the professional landscape is really like on the ground, and what the friction points are, and what it takes to arrive there with real infrastructure behind you. So let's start at the macro level. People talk about Southeast Asia markets as investment or relocation destinations. The conversation usually stays at the surface. Low cost of living, good weather, nice food, and all of that is true, and none of it is why I'm going back. Well, partly. But let me give you the structural case. Vietnam's GDP has grown averaged around 6% annually for close to a decade. That is not a blip. That's basically consistent trend driven by real economic diversification away from agriculture and toward manufacturing, technology, services, and tourism. Foreign companies have been relocating supply chains from China to Vietnam at an accelerating pace since 2018. Samsung, Intel, and LG have major operations there. That level of institutional commitment does not happen without serious infrastructure and serious governance behind it. Vietnam also has been deliberate about trade relationships, free trade agreements with the European Union, the UK, across the ASEAN, give business operating here genuine market access, not just to Vietnam's 98 million consumers, but to the broader regional economy surrounding it. The population story matters too. Median age around 30. Growing consumer class, extraordinary mobile penetration, e-commerce expanding fast. The digital infrastructure is real and modern. Now set that against what I actually observed in Da Nang. There's a layer of serious foreign operators and founders who are genuinely building there, real businesses, real capital. Below that, a much larger transient layer that most of the networking scene is built around. The gap between those two layers is enormous, and the serious layer has no organized home, no vetted peer network, no private infrastructure or introductions and deal flow, just capable people operating in relative isolation, occasionally finding each other by accident. I spoke to operators who had been in Da Nang for over a year and who were still making introductions they could have made in the first month if the right structure had existed around them. That is a solvable problem, and it is specifically the problem I am building to solve. The fundamentals make the market compelling. The gap makes it urgent. Da Nang is where I want to focus to start, and I'll tell you exactly why that city specifically in the next section. Da Nang is not where the corporations are. That's Ho Chi Minh City, that's Hanoi, the institutional money, the established multinationals, the corporate headquarters. That's the South and the North. Da Nang is where the serious independent operators and globally mobile professionals are building their lives. It's where I've been, it's where I'm going back. The coastline is exceptional, consistently ranked amongst the best in Southeast Asia. The city is clean, well managed, built at a human scale. The cost of living allows you to operate at a level of quality and housing, food, healthcare, lifestyle that is simply not accessible in any Western city at a comparable price point. Proximity to Hoi An, regional air access, infrastructure that functions, and an international professional community that is still early enough that the people you meet now are the people who will define what this city becomes. I want to give you an analogy for what I'm building. Think about a high-end golf club. Golf is the front, the brand, the facilities, the event circuit, but what actually happens there? Business, real partnerships, capital introductions, deals made on the fairway that never would have happened in the conference room. The club is not about the golf. The golf is the container. The relationships are the product. That is the model. A private, vetted society, the Lotus Protocol, where the actual business of building in Vietnam and Southeast Asia happens between people who have been specifically selected to be in the same room, not a networking event, not a forum, an infrastructure play with a membership that means something. And I want to be clear, I didn't manufacture the demand for this. I've spoken directly to major operators already on the ground in Da Nang who see the exact same gap I'm describing and are looking to for exactly this kind of structure to exist. So the conversation is already happening. The question is, who builds it? The people who move now are the founding layer. The founding layer shapes everything that follows. So I'll tell you exactly what that looks like and why the timing is right now specific in this final section. I'm back on my ranch in Baja for now, 24 acres, Pacific Ocean, 60 miles from San Diego, and I want to be honest with you, I didn't need to go to Vietnam. I don't need to go back. I could build a very full life right here and never think twice about it, but I'm not wired that way. And if you've watched this far, I don't think you are either. What I saw in Da Nang was a specific gap in a specific market at a specific moment in time where those things don't align often. When they do, the people who move are the ones who build something lasting. The people who wait are the ones who say 2 years later that they almost did this. I've spent years operating across multiple markets, real estate, business development, hospitality, international consulting, multiple countries. The pattern that runs through all of it is the same. The best outcomes came from arriving early with the right connections already in place. So before the room filled up, what I'm building is called the Lotus Protocol, private, invitation only, built for the founders, investors, globally mobile professionals who are making this move or seriously considering it. The golf club model, vetted peer network, in-country legal and business counsel, a curated event circuit across Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Full lifestyle onboarding for people who want to arrive with answers, not questions. I'm heading back to Da Nang. I'm not the only one who sees this gap. I have spoken with serious operators on the ground who are looking for exactly this kind of structure to exist. The founding seats are filling. The people who are moving now hold a position in this network that cannot be replicated once the market matures. Next week, I'm going to talk about the real cost of arriving in Vietnam without the right infrastructure. It's not what most people expect. If this is anywhere on your radar, you want to see that one for sure. I'll see you next week. Let's go.